Hey, coaches, welcome to Built by Coaches, our series on developing your brand and getting yourself to be able to organize your ideas. I'm joined today by Coach PJ Gibbs, one of the preeminent defensive brand coaches on the internet. You can check him out on his website at thefbcoachgibbs.com. His fast and physical defense is super impressive. If you're interested in the new three safety stuff, check that out. But here at Built by Coaches, we're going to ask the same 7 questions to every coach. So, Coach, I'm going to go ahead and jump right in, and I appreciate you coming on and helping us. Like I said, this platform is built to help coaches. Our tagline is keep learning, keep coaching. So that's kind of where we are. So just if you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, we'll move on through the little questions.
Yeah, so I'm glad to be on, Coach. I'm glad we got connected to do this. I'm more than happy to help anybody. Like Coach said, my name is PJ Gibbs. I've just recently hired at First Baptist Academy down here in Naples as a defensive coordinator. Just finished my 25th year of coaching. Coached in New Jersey, for 15 years, and then I just finished my 10th year in Florida. Developed a system we're going to talk about in 2020, and been fortunate enough to win some games, coach some really good players, get some rings, get some banners hung, and get some kids to college. So it's been a good ride. And have my daughter is she'll be season 5 helping me coach as a senior defensive analyst. So she'll be 15 in the fall. So she's been around for a few years now.
Well, that's awesome, Coach. And I think that goes unsaid in a lot of the things. Us guys that get on here and we talk to coaches about systems and brands and everything. But the key piece of that is it's always about Jimmys and Joes and those X's and O's. And if you're all the great coaches are the ones that know how to develop players. And obviously, you know how to do that. So talk to me about why you chose this system or topic to build around.
So I grew up in the 4-3. We grew up, old school. When I first started coaching, we went up to Boston College. We went to Virginia. We spent a lot of time with Coach Golden, Coach D'Onofrio at Virginia, Coach McGovern, Coach Baziani at Boston College. And, I coached at my high school, and that's what we ran. That's what I played against and played under. And then moved to Florida in 2015, and then got into the rekindle my relationship with Coach Don Brown, who's been my mentor for about going on 20 years now. And, got into the 4-2-5 pressure stuff, was really into the save and match stuff out of that, and then was presented with an opportunity by USA Football in 2020 and got to be the head coach of the Japanese national team and got to pick my staff, which was cool. I got to bring a bunch of guys, high school coaches and really good friends on staff. And we found out that the U.S. national team was going to be a heavy RPO team. So reached out to my brother-in-law, who's now the assistant head coach of Wake Forest, and Coach Tyson Vett, who was at Iowa State at the time, and put together a really basic 3 safety package because I knew we were going to be undersized. I knew we would have skill, we would have athleticism, but we were going to need to take away their athleticism. We'd have to come up with a game plan that was going to give us an advantage because we were going to be so outmatched in the box. So whether that is the alignment, the pressure piece, but we put it together, ended up winning 28-20 and shocking the world in January of 2020 in AT&T Stadium.
Yeah, I remember when I saw that on the ticker. I mean, you see that game and you're like, well, why are they even playing? And then when I saw the thing, it's kind of on a smaller scale, kind of like the U.S. hockey team beating the Russians. It's just one of them things you never thought was going to happen, but that's why we play the game. So, Coach, when did it actually click? Like, when did you realize this was like bigger than just something you coached?
Well, coming back that fall, obviously it was COVID. Down in Florida, we were a little bit more ahead of, a lot of other states when it comes to the high school football space. And we implemented a package in our defense. And that year we had the #1 defense in Southwest Florida. We gave up less than a touchdown per game. We actually started the season with 4 straight shutouts down here. And then it was kind of like once we had that season, and then I took a head coaching job the following year and took over a program that hadn't won a game in 3 years and put the full package in, and we ended up winning 4 and shutting out our rival the last game of the season, which they hadn't done in 7 years. So then I was contacted by Rick Stewart out of California, who does all access coaching, and he
Right.
called me. He's like, hey, you know, just been following you for the last couple of years. He's like, you really got something good here. Do you ever think about doing a system? And I said, you know, honestly, no, not really. I just, you know, like doing it, like coaching it, you know, and building on it. And so, long story short, he flew here from California for about 4 days, and we recorded a whole bunch of stuff. I had all my content from Tuttle, and then we put the 15-course system together and got it out on CoachTube.
Nice. So what was the hard part? Like, what's the hardest part about putting yourself out there?
I mean, it's like anything, right? Like, you know, there's always going to be, I think there's always going to be people that are like, you know, well, we do it this way. Like, to me, and this is what I tell coaches all the time, like, if you want to be all in, like full bore, like, that's great. Like, you want me to come out for an install? I'll do that. I've been in New York, Illinois, Northern Florida, Georgia, Texas, you know, Colorado. I've been all over to do that. But one thing I really like is, you can piecemeal. Like, you can just say, hey, I like your pressure, or hey, I like the stemming, or hey, I like this, I like that. You know, like, you know, we were just talking about double wing. Like, how do you do this? Because we played 4 double wing teams. But I think, like, you know, putting yourself out there, you leave yourself open for criticism. But at the end of the day, like, who cares? As long as your wife and kids love you, like, I'm good with that. Like, you know, to me, coach, to be honest with you, 2 things I go through every day is, like, when I hit the ground running, hit my feet on the floor, like, nobody's gonna outwork me. And if you take time out of your day to waste your breath to insult me about what I do or post about me and what I do in a negative connotation, God bless you, because you just wasted about 30 seconds in your life.
There is some, you do have to have some thin skin when you get into the brand space, especially on the monetization side. This next question is kind of the one that I would like all the guys who are thinking about doing this to really kind of pay attention to is, you know, how did it make you better? How did building your brand make you a better coach?
I think it really it allows you to, like, really study in the off season. So, like, for me, like, every year, like, I'm not satisfied with just, hey, this is the 15 courses and this is what we're doing. Yeah, like, that's the foundational piece of it. But I want to know how I can implement what Indiana did this year, what Oregon did this year, a couple years ago, what Michigan and Jesse Minter did in 23. Like, how can I take what those guys did, implement it in what I'm doing, right? But make it to the point where the kids are going to understand it and be able to execute it at a high level. And I think that's, you know, for me, it's like always building on something, whether it's a 4-down package or a simulator package or, you know, a bracket coverage package, like, because again, like, offense is always evolving, right? So, you know, we have to adapt, we have to evolve and have an answer for, you know, maybe a route combo that's new or a formation that you shift to. So that's kind of that's what drives me to be better and expand.
Yeah, I found that too when I started doing the foundation of the air raid stuff. I put my first course out in 2019, my first system course, and then after that, I wanted to keep improving on it. So we did a 2020, we did a 2022, you know, we did a 2024, you know, before I took my break from content. And but like you said, it was like every year you wanted to add something different, you know, and it forced me to want to improve, because you just didn't want to be that stagnant book that was sitting out there. You know, it's kind of like, you know, what happens when if you do Star Wars was such a great movie, but then you got Empire Strikes Back, you know, which was even better. It's one of the first, you know, or Godfather 1, and then you got Godfather 2, you know, so, you know, there's always that opportunity, especially in this space where the sequels could be as good as the originals, or if not better, especially if they build upon each other. So what's changed for you now that you started teaching this publicly? I know in my book, I talk about having to find the balance between asset and obligation. So as you start building a system, you know, you have to fight that urge to want to do a YouTube channel, 5 courses, a podcast, and this, because then it becomes an obligation. So you have to find that balance where it fits into your life. So what's changed for you, and how did you achieve that balance?
I think for me, a lot that's changed is obviously, you know, as your social media grows, because, you know, you and I think with this stuff, come from the same cloth. Like, I'm all about answering questions and helping. You know, it's not, to me, it's Like if you want to buy stuff, cool, but I have no problem hopping on a Google Meet or a Zoom to help anybody out.
Right.
It's out there for you to buy, but you don't have to. You can talk to me or, whatever. I think it's like, what is your line as far as like how much do you want effort do you want to put into like you're just talking about like books. Like right now I'm working on a book, a 300-page book, and then I'm going to cut it into different manual to also have a youth coach's coach tube certification that's going to be coming out in the next month. So like I try to like off season for me is like the work, right? Because when I get towards spring ball, I can't really devote, because I don't want to half-ass it, right? Like I don't want to, put something out that's not quality for people that are going to purchase it, even look through it, preview it or whatever. So like these 3 months are really the time for me to kind of buckle down and really look at, how I need to expand the content and help people before we get into that spring ball window. So that it's really, for me, it's that organizational. Like when I first started, I wanted to do all this stuff, right? You want to do all this stuff and get, I got to put this up. I got to do this. I got to tweet this. I got to do that. Now it's like, okay, like after the season over, you decompress. And now once the new year hits, now you want to start building things out and hopefully getting things out there, whether it's a book or coaching.
Yeah. And that was one of the reasons why I wanted to write the book. I wanted to kind of share my journey of building a brand. And that's why it's entitled, turning your knowledge into impact and income. Because even if you don't turn it into income, you can turn it into impact. But I wanted coaches to understand that I, just like you, I wanted to do all of this stuff, and I've done it. But with this rebuild, this re-entry into to YouTube and stuff like that, it's been, I have to be very patient. It's hard to go from a 10,000 subscriber channel to having 35, 40 subscribers and like knowing that your content is really, really good and like, why isn't it growing? Why isn't it growing fast enough? And, and well, maybe I need to do this and I need to do that. But I know from experience that you just got to stay the course and do the content that's beneficial, because, this, like I said, I want this platform to be about professional development for coaches, giving them the things that we did, that we learned the hard way, not only in building your brand, but in, becoming an offensive coordinator, becoming a defensive coordinator, going through those head coach interviews and stuff like that. And, unfortunately, a lot of our younger coaches, they've been conditioned to think, okay, it's my first year on staff, I'm supposed to be calling plays. It's that instant gratification thing. But then the worst thing that can happen is the head coach say, okay.
Yep.
And now you don't have the tools to do the job right. So that's kind of where I want to be with this. What kind of this is kind of like the last question in the Build Your Coach kind of series thing. What would you tell a coach who has something good but hasn't put it out there yet?
I mean, you have to, I think, a couple of things. I think one, if you're considering putting it out there, you have to, obviously there's a lot of positivity, because, you're going to feel good about what you do and what you're going to put out. Like, you have confidence in yourself, right? To do that. You have to be ready for the other side of it. Because, we live in an age, we have been for a few years now, where, it doesn't matter, everybody can, push the send button, right? So there'll be people that, are critical of you, and that's fine. It's just, how you handle it. I think if you feel that strongly about it, lean on people. Like, I know when I was doing this in the beginning, I leaned on Kenny Simpson, because he helped me build up my install schedule. Because my thing is good with this whole stuff, Coach. Like, if I don't know what I'm doing, I'm going to go find somebody that's good at it and ask me to help. And I'm okay with that. Like, I'm not just going to just wing it and say, okay, this is what I think is good. Like, look at somebody that's successful at what you want to be successful at.
Right.
Reach out to them, because, like, it's like anything, we've been where you were at it. Like, whether you're a first year guy or a fifth year guy, like, we've been there. So don't be afraid to send it to you, follow up, whatever, reach out, and, like, it won't get to you.
Yeah.
I would say just you know, you're going to have a lot of positive energy. Just be ready for the, you know, people to, you know, and this is one thing, like a lot of the content stuff, like you see a lot of guys posting stuff like the all 22 film, right? It's like that's all well and good, but like, are you taking that stuff and are you coaching that at your high school? Like it's cool to be able to post something and use all the technology, right? Actually taking that, right? So I would say, let's be ready for the backside of the coin, front side of the coin.
Yeah, I would agree with that 1,000%. You know, and I have a lot of conversations with different coaches from all over the country, and the world. I mean, that was one of the things that I found was crazy. I mean, I was consulting with an air raid team in Brazil. That was a semi-pro team. You know, that was pretty cool back when I first got started. I did podcasts in Australia and talked to coaches in England and things like that. So, you know, that's the cool thing about the social media piece, that you can have impact way further than around your region or state or those kind of things. And unfortunately, the clinic circuit is not what it used to be. You know, you see a lot of colleges are doing away with kind of in-person clinics now, and the smaller clinics are really cool. But I used to love going to clinics just to be around coaches. And a lot of time, some of the best stuff that I would learn over at the side table in between sessions, just talking to guys. And that's really, really important. But well, Coach, man, I appreciate you, you know, being the first guest on Built by Coaches. You know, I hope this series ends up being something that's very beneficial to coaches, you know, in the Build Your Brand series. You know, we want to help coaches organize their thoughts, build a system. And then once you're building a system, it helps you teach it better. And then if you want to move forward and take that next step and monetize it and things, we want to be able to help coaches just through our experience to do that. So I appreciate you, Coach. And I thank you for coming on.